Déjame comenzar con una pregunta un poco personal. ¿Conoce usted a alguien, niña de 13 años? Nieta, pariente. ¿Puede usted imaginarla por un minuto bailando? Niña de 13 años, cuando bailando. Exactly a year ago, at the end of June 2016, a 13-year-old girl, Halel Yafe Ariel, took part in a modern dance show in her community. Her dance routine was filmed, a tiny girl in a white outfit. The next day, she was at home in her bed. A terrorist entered, locked the door, walked into her room, and while she lay in their bed, he stabbed her again and again and again in her neck and chest until she died. A 13-year-old girl who only wanted to dance. These are the people supported by the BDS movement. People who intentionally murder children. So here's the question. People here in Spain, one of the great centers of global civilization, need to ask themselves, if someone has no problem murdering children, do they have any problem lying? Of course they don't. Israel faces terrorism in the form of knives and guns, always aimed at the weakest in our society. In Europe, the weapon is lies. They sell you a story that Israel indiscriminately kills Palestinians. Lie. Israel, the Israeli army, does more than any other army in the world to protect civilians. The majority of injuries on the Palestinian side aren't because of Israel, but because terrorist organizations use women and children as human shields. They're happy to let the children die just to score points in the propaganda war. They tell you a story that it's a fight for freedom and equality. Lie. In Gaza, gays are hung from telephone poles. Men are allowed to beat their wives. It's permissible to kill Jews just because they're Jews and Christians just because they're Christians. In the Palestinian Authority, there was recently a summer camp named after Dalal Mughrabi. This year they named another women's center after her. Dalal Mughrabi was a terrorist who carried out an attack during which 35 people, innocent people, were killed, among them 12 children. That's the education they give their children, a culture of death which glorifies murder of innocent civilians. They sell you a story, and this is the biggest lie of all, that they are for the two-state solution. My party and myself support the two-state solution, the creation of a Palestinian state alongside Israel. They do not. When they speak English or Spanish, they talk about peace and coexistence. But again and again and again, we see the real truth exposed. Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, says it. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, says it. The leaders of the Islamic Jihad say it. The Iranians say it. Between themselves in Arabic and Persian, they don't lie. They don't want a Palestinian state alongside Israel, but instead of Israel. In fact, on the ashes of Israel, what they really want is ancient and dark and well known. They want to kill Jews. Between themselves, they talk a lot about European support, about the fact that the BDS movement here in Europe supports them. It amuses them. It amuses them that human rights organizations who don't know the true objective support their aim of death and destruction. It amuses them that if it is so easy to fool naive Europeans and those who seek to do good and incite them against Israel with blunt lies. Not far away from my home in Tel Aviv is the Carmel Market. We've talked about this today. It's Tel Aviv's equivalent of the San Miguel Market here. A few years ago, there was a terror attack there. This is where my wife is shopping. A suicide bomber blew himself up. 2 women and a man were killed, 50 people were injured. Not one of them, of course, was a soldier. They were people doing their shopping. The PFLP, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a terrorist organization, claimed responsibility for the attack. They took pride of it. 3 years ago, terrorists entered the Har Nof synagogue in Jerusalem. Olga, can you show them the pictures, please? A place of worship, like the one we stand here now. They butchered men in prayer. These are the images of the synagogue after the killing spree. Cold-blooded murder in the house of God. Is there anything more sacrilegious, more profane, more evil? The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine claimed responsibility for that attack as well. They took pride in that murder as well. Last year, an affiliate of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine received 199,988 euros from the Basque Agency for Development Cooperation. That is a public body funded by taxpayers here in Spain, and its funds are originally intended for international aid. An official affiliated of the PFLP, which shares senior members with the PFLP, whose founder and co-chair is a member of the PFLP, a terrorist organization, an affiliate which is nothing more than the political face of terror, got money from you, from Spanish taxpayers. This is only one example, one of many. Is the murder of people going shopping or people who are praying considered a humanitarian act? Of course not. They gave them the money because of the lies and propaganda of the BDS movement. It's not bad will, it's naivety. But that naivety kills. It supports terror. Counter to that, my friends, you here in this room are offering a clear, brave, strong, moral voice. You are a lighthouse of humanity and reason. We started today a process in your parliament. We stood together, and together we will lead a process through the Spanish parliament which will end the transfer of money to BDS organizations who support terrorism and call to isolate Israel. The Spanish government has said many times before, it opposes BDS and opposes terror. It's time to move from words to action. I want to once again thank our friends in the Spanish parliament who are sitting here today from different political parties who decided to lead and help us against the enemies of peace. El mundo no es divide en judíos y cristianos, como tampoco a cristianos o musulmanes. La división pasa por lo que están dispuestos a enfrentar el mal y la muerte, y por aquellos que callan. Os agradezco por estar junto a nosotros. Os doy las gracias por no callar. Muchas gracias.